Today's guest is a Broadway legend thanks to her iconic turn as the original Christine Daae in The Phantom of the Opera. She's now celebrating her 11th studio album, Dreamchaser, inspired by her upcoming trip to space. Please welcome Sarah Brightman.
Hi.
Hello, I'm so thrilled that you're here.
Thank you. I'm
you
very
look
happy
beautiful.
to. And I particularly like this here.
You like the, well, you
I
like
love
spacey.
a little bit of sparkle. It's lovely.
Well,
Reminds me
I'm
of
glad.
the stars.
What an honor that you actually like this curtain. You're actually known for like beautiful stage shows, and like a lot of you put on these huge productions when you do concerts. So if you like my little blue curtain,
I love it.
I'm happy. Maybe
very
this is also inspired
comfortable.
by your upcoming trip to space.
Yes, and this beautiful purpley blue colour. It's perfect.
Okay, well, we're good. Sarah Brightman approves of the show people say, so I'm happy. Well, welcome. How are you? It's so great to have you in New York.
I'm good. I'm really, I love coming to New York. I'm only here for a couple of days this time, but it's been a pleasure. I've been talking to people and doing lots of interviews and talking to lovely gentlemen like yourself. So
Thank you.
Yeah.
So this CD, I was listening to it right before you got here. Like a lot of your past CDs, there are these beautiful oral, A-U-R-A-L, experiences. I mean, you definitely, like, you sort of tell stories with these big sounds, and it's almost like whenever you get a Sarah Brightman CD, you put it on and you just know you're going to be sort of transported somewhere.
You are lovely. Thank you.
Is that sort of your goal?
It is. I think I've always themed a lot of my albums because I like to. The themes really come from what's happening in my life at that particular time. I mean, when I think back on my past albums, for example, my last album before Dreamchaser is called Symphony, and it was a very dark Gothic album, and it was the theme. What was happening in my life at that time was quite dark. There were a lot of changes happening, and it was quite scary. And so, it actually gave me a map to the kind of songs that I chose for the album, because I'm not a composer of music, I'm an interpreter. So to bring different songs in together from all styles, from all genres, from all areas, and knit them together, it does need a thread going through. So this actually really helps me make albums of different songs that fit together and are contained in that particular area. But this one is an incredibly uplifting piece, and it's really been following. It's about a journey, and it's been following really a theme that's been going on in my life for the past few years. In that I've really wanted to journey into space and go into orbit, and it looks as if that might be happening for me. So it's been an incredibly inspirational time for me to create an album of this type with very expansive feelings and very the type of songs which give the feeling of expanse.
Well, we're going to talk more about this space trip, because this is fascinating. But first, I want to talk about your recording career. It's been wildly successful. I mean, we fell in love with you. I mean, I'm a huge Phantom of the Opera fan. We actually met before. We met on January 30th, 1988, in the alleyway behind the Majestic Theater.
Okay.
I was a fan. I got your autograph. Do you remember?
Was
it as iconic to you as it was to me? Actually, this is actually funny. I was an art student, and,
yes.
I was in an art class, and we had a mask. We had to make masks.
Okay.
And it was just funny timing, so I made a Phantom of the Opera mask.
Right.
And your then husband refused to sign it.
Oh.
But I was all right.
Was he in a hurry?
Huh?
Was he in a hurry?
Yeah, it was a very glamorous time. I mean, Phantom of the Opera had just opened.
So did you try and get him to sign it when you were in the backstage
yeah.
area?
Do you remember that?
Yeah. Do you know he's no? Well, I know him, and he probably, and I'm apologising for him now, but he's a very shy person, actually, believe it or not. He gets very nervous, and when he's in spaces when he doesn't know people, he's a bit. That's what he's like. So I apologise, but I'm sure if he was sitting here talking to you, he would sign 100 of them. He's a lovely man.
He will be here eventually. It's one of my goals. Michael Crawford signed it, so it all worked out fine.
Good.
But
Did I sign it?
That was such an incredible performance, Phantom of the Opera. And then I also loved you in Aspects of Love, I have to tell you.
My favourite.
Aspects of Love is my favorite
it's beautiful.
of his shows. That score is beautiful, and you were amazing in that show.
Yeah. Well, it was, and this is why, when I was talking about albums, it's important to to bring in part of your life, because then an audience sort of subliminally gets the feeling of what's going on in your soul. In that at that time I was going through divorce and all sorts of stuff, and it was actually very wonderful to really focus into that character and go through her love, her pains, all of those things, you know, as females do go through their lives. And so I think that's probably why, for me, the memories of that were really poignant, I think is the word.
You sang Anything But Lonely at the end, and it was I mean, you've recorded it since then.
Yes.
It was incredible. So clearly it all worked. It all came to you at the perfect time, clearly.
It was lovely. It was a fantastic role to play. And I'm just sorry that when I played the role on Broadway, that, you know, there were problems. There was a war at that time, and lots of shows were closing, and ours unfortunately was. And so I only got a few months to play it on Broadway, but it was beautiful.
I remember a few years later you had your first album come out. And I remember when it was Dive your first album?
Was.
Beautiful album. And immediately it was like, wow, what an interesting direction. You immediately found this amazing sort of way to channel your talent. You know what I mean? Whose idea was that, or where did that come from, the idea of creating these kinds of albums?
It's all, I mean, from inception really, it comes from me. It has to come from the artist when you these themes. It couldn't be created by anybody else. Of course, I worked very closely with my then producer, Frank Peterson, who was very young at the time, and he was very open to exploration in this area. So me coming from theatre, from the idea of themes, of what one could do, it was actually great to work with him, because he was very he was a wonderful engineer. He was an up and coming producer, and he was an open book at the same time. So I was able to challenge him, throw ideas into him, and he had all of his ideas. And together, actually, from that album, we were able to create really 16 years of wonderful work together.
Okay, so let's talk about space. Because you really made headlines.
I know everyone wants to talk about space. I don't know that much about space, because I can only look at it and...
But you have been in training, and you are prepping to possibly go into space in 2 years.
Yes, it's a long story. It really goes back to me living through the 60s and seeing first man, step onto the moon from my TV set, and being totally inspired by it. But not only inspired in that, I would like to go there, I would like to do that. It's actually sort of understanding us as human beings, that a human being could do something extraordinary. I don't think there's anything been like that to date from that time. And I started to actually, from that time, look to myself and think, well, what can I do? What can I do that could be extraordinary? What can I use out of the talent that I have? And also, seeing probably, rather than the math in science and the math in rocketry, it was the math in music. And I started to really buckle down to what I could do myself. And so in a way, I thank that moment of time, because it gave me a lot of energy. Subliminally, I think that space and the idea of the universe and singing outwards and all of those things which have inspired me in moments, they have led to me really officially being now a cosmonaut in training, which has been taken many years really to get to, and to get to this moment. But so the journey so far has been absolutely beautiful. And even if it doesn't happen, because anything can happen in 2 years to you medically, or your health, or whatever it can be, the fact that I've got this far has been amazing and incredibly inspirational for what I've been doing in the arts sense. It's been a beautiful experience, and I'm learning new things every day. I'm like a child with it.
What is the actual training like?
It hasn't exactly been training at this point. That happens later on, and it's a good sort of like 6 to 8 months solid, and that's where you really are trained. It's a series of tests that you have to go through, from medical, psychological. You're tested in all sorts of unusual ways that you wouldn't normally be tested for, to see if you're the right person that can deal with space, how you would react to unusual situations, uncomfortable situations, how psychologically you work with a team, how you would react in dangerous situations, all sorts of things. It was pretty tough and pretty long, the whole thing, but I've started off in Houston with the medicals, and I wasn't really expecting to get anywhere with it, thinking
Right.
there'll be something wrong with my body. I'm in my early 50s. I got through really in the top, and that for me just medically was a wonderful thing to know that my body's pretty good. So it's been an experience. Yes.
It's amazing. It's really exciting. And I know you want to
Yes.
sing in space.
I'd love to, because that's what I am. I am a singer and a musician.
Right. So how do you choose what the first song sung in space would be? It won't be Christine Daae, Well, Think of Me. No, it'll probably be something from this album, maybe.
I don't know yet. I haven't really gone there. Whatever it is, I'm going to make sure that it's something that is sort of comprehensive, and there's a good reason for trying it and sing it there. And I would love to, if possible, be able to connect, obviously depending on trajectory, with other performers or musicians on Earth. I think that could be a beautiful thing, and I'm told it's absolutely possible. From the vanity aspect, it's not great because of the way that your fluids work in zero gravity. The fluid basically comes up to your face, so you have chicken legs and a big face apparently. But you know that it doesn't really matter.
What was the funniest reaction you received from like friends or family when they found out that you wanted to do that? Is everyone? I mean, it's not something you hear every day. You don't hear like, oh, Sarah's going to go up to space. I mean, you don't hear this about people. Maybe years from now we will hear this all the time about people, but you must have gotten some crazy reactions.
My mother was a little concerned, but I come from a family which have enjoyed aviation, in that my father flew light aircraft and so did my uncle. And in fact, my father wanted to go into the RAF and couldn't because of some damage he'd done to his skull in an early accident. But because of that, we, as children, we were always taken around all the air shows that we had in Britain, and we had a lot of them at that time. And I can remember at an early age being put into a grounded Spitfire, which absolutely fascinated me. I remember being totally excited by the mechanics of it, where it could take me, and all of these things, and the idea of speed as well. And later on, I learnt to fly as well. And then later on then I took training in Harrier jump jets, which were a very famous British jet, and fighter jet. So it's always been, my family is sort of used to this and used to what I enjoy and interested in.
No fear about this? Are you a daredevil sort of person in general?
No, I'm not a daredevil. I'm quite calculating about what I do. I make decisions, but actually in circumstances which are like this, I'm incredibly calm, and I know I'm a very good leader, and I think they're actually the times when I think the most clearly. And I know this just from shows that I've been put on and travelling around the world and being in sometimes quite precarious situations. And, you know, you've got a team of people, and sometimes when no one knows what to do, they generally look to me and I go, okay, and I'm good at dealing with situations. So it's actually an area I feel most comfortable in.
Wow.
Yeah.
We have to talk a little bit more about Phantom of the Opera because
Right.
I'm obsessed. You're a really interesting sort of figure in Broadway because you helped create this. I mean, this show was written for you. I mean, you created this amazing show with Angela Lloyd Webber and with Michael Crawford, and 25 years have now gone, well, longer with London. And you're kind of a mysterious figure because we don't see you very often. So it's nice. Like, you were here for the 25th anniversary this past January. It's like so great to see you back in these parts. How do you feel? Do you feel like a part of the Broadway world, the Broadway community?
I feel very much part of it in that I've been quite an intrinsic part in a particular musical that's been incredibly successful.
Right.
And has given a lot of people a lot of pleasure. So yes, I do feel very loved and beloved, and feel that I've actually given something towards it. I actually went into musicals not by choice.
Right.
It's interesting, and in fact, where I began, which of course I trained in all of these areas, and I loved training the ballet and the arts, and it fascinated me. But I started out actually in a recording area and a concert area,
Yeah.
which is in fact where I've ended up with. But that sort of ended for me after a couple of hit records and running a small record label that I had when I was younger. And things went wrong and I didn't get it together, as happens in life when you're starting off. And I needed to work. I needed to get a job. I needed to earn money. And
Right.
I was trained in this area, so I went for an audition for Cats. It was in our local sort of stage newspaper at that time. And I went along and I was embraced immediately by Andrew and by the people around. And so I went for all of the auditions that one had to get through and go to. And I got through and was chosen for a part. So I wasn't expecting anything from this, but then it led to all the other things that have
Right.
happened to me in the theatre.
The goal was never to become a Broadway diva.
Not at all, no.
Right.
I mean, I always loved the idea of musicals, like everybody does. You
Yeah.
can't. I mean, I remember going way, way back to my first sort of glimpse into that world, which I think was a variety show on a black and white TV screen. My grandparents had this great, huge television, and the screen, of course, what you got out of that was incredibly small. It was a variety show on a Sunday night, and the performers came on and they did, Tonight from West Side Story. I remember my mouth open. I was going, oh, this is so beautiful. I love this. I love this. So, I always really appreciated it,
Yeah.
but never thought I'd really be in it. So, and I'm part of it. But saying that, being in theatre and being in musical theatre, it really helped me in my later career of creating shows of my own work, which is invaluable. I mean, understanding how to put a show together, what goes behind it, the pacing, what the audience need, all of these. I mean, it's very complex putting on these shows. So to learn that has been an incredible thing for me in the future, for my future.
Did you feel like people gave you a fair shake when Phantom opened in here in New York? Because obviously we knew you were married to Andrew Lloyd Webber, and he wrote the show for you, and you sort of came with the show from London.
Yes.
Do you feel like there was any sort of energy about that? Because, you know what I mean? Do you think that people gave you a fair shake as a performer?
Do you know, I don't know. It's very hard to judge.
Right.
I think I do remember seeing some reviews at the time and thinking, well, actually they haven't understood where I've come from, but maybe where I've come from in doing this wasn't right either, or they're not enjoying. But I remember one of the reviews, it's a more negative, was saying, about the movements that I was using. And in fact, a lot of the movements I used and put into the character, which I now see that all the Christines in the future are doing. I suddenly see an arm movement here, or a pull back there. I actually took, because I'd done a fair amount of research into films and documentary areas of people way back that they'd managed to film, and they'd found this old footage. And people way back, and this footage was even later than when the book, the Gaston Leroux Phantom of the Opera book, was written, but people were very stylised at that time, just in their normal manner. You know how nowadays we're so loose about everything, but in the future people will look at our time and go, actually that was very stylised.
Right.
So I really took from old pictures and everything the way that people performed when they were in their natural lives, and those were the movements I used, and I really researched it. But there were things like that I felt that critics didn't really understand what I was doing, because I got so deep into it.
Right.
So there were those sort of things that were, I found, and I wasn't given ever the area to explain why, because I think people were more interested in actors' equity and all the stuff that was going on at that time. But for me, it was a beautiful part to play, and because I had been inspirational in its creative, force there, and had been a muse for Andrew, I mean, it was perfection in that way. So I feel really grateful for that time, and whatever was going on around, it didn't really affect me.
Because it's so personal to you, what's it like watching other actresses play Christine?
It's very lovely, because everybody brings their own thing to a part, and it's set and it's what it is. But that's the joy of it, and it is joyful for me to see the fact that the part has lasted that long and actually still in a very correct manner from what I did. It's great.
Yeah. I also enjoyed the video that you created with Andrew, the two of you sort of reminiscing and talking. Really,
Yes.
really fun to sort of get to see your relationship
Yes,
now.
yes.
It's fun to see you guys sort of playing off each other. Is that, do you think, accurate of what your relationship is now?
It's accurate of what it always was.
Yeah.
I think, you know, sometimes when you're very much in the eye of the public and you're being watched, you can't be as natural as and really I think we've both got to that age where it doesn't matter, we can just be ourselves in front of a camera, and it was very lovely. He's a very lovely man and incredibly creative, and I think especially with the musical that he did after Phantom, which was Love Never Dies, although it might not have been such a big hit, actually what he did with his composing is way beyond where I ever thought that he would go to. He's going to be a composer that really will get deeper and deeper and deeper into music if he wants to, because it's all there. And I always felt that, you know, even back to the time when he did Requiem, although it was the first go at it, and of course there were, when you listen to it, there's something quite naive about it in places, but that's what's so joyful about it. It's him composing actually an incredibly beautiful, deep piece at that time in his life, and he will just go on and getting better and better.
Yeah, I think we're going to be seeing you at the 30th anniversary of Phantom and the 40th and the 50th. Would you be open to the idea of ever coming back to Broadway in a musical, or is it just sort of not even your life?
I don't know. It's definitely about a mindset, being able to do something like that. You know, never say never. There may be something that comes up, and I go, oh, yes, I can do that. I can play with that and do something with it. But it hasn't so far, because my career that I have has been incredibly fulfilling and all-encompassing, so I haven't really gone there. But I'm sure there'll be. I mean, I love to do plays. I love to get into characters. It's escapism. It's the most beautiful thing. So, who knows what will happen?
Do you still remember any of that Cats choreography?
I will never forget it. And I don't think there's anything as tough as doing that part.
Yeah.
It was really tough.
Oh my God.
Yes.
It's such,
we all
so
lost
iconic.
so much weight. It was madness. But anyway.
So when you're at home, you ever bust out into the Jellicle Ball, or you ever like?
No, I'm afraid not. Those times are gone. I'm very happy to watch it. Yeah.
Well, it is such a treat to see you. And it's been so amazing to watch your career over these years, from me at the stage door up until now. It's great. It's great to have you here. And everyone needs to check out this beautiful new CD, Dreamchaser. And we'll be looking for you in space, singing something in space. And we'll see you at the 50th anniversary of Phantom of the Opera.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Sarah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.